Welcome to the SMS podcast. I'm here today to review the new Jessica Alba movie, Trigger Warning. This movie is probably the worst movie of the year so far. It's really fucking trash. So yeah, let's get into it. This movie, it starts off in Syria. And Jessica Alba is on a mission. And this scene, the first scene of the movie, it looks AI generated. I'm not even joking. Some of the worst special effects I've seen in my life, it had to be AI generated because it just looks so fake. It looks worse than every other Netflix movie I've seen. I didn't even think that was possible, but it is. So it starts off in Syria. She's on this mission and she takes down these terrorists, and then she finds out that her dad died, R.I.P. So she gets to her town and everything's not as it seems. She gets a call from her ex, who's the sheriff of this town named Jesse Swan, and he gives her, when she gets the sound, he gives her this note, and he's like, I think it might be a suicide note. And she's like, oh, it's just a letter. I don't know what the fuck you think is a suicide note. And then she's like, oh, the way it happened, no way, died on accident, somebody killed him, because he was a Green Beret. And Jessica Alba, she's not convinced at all. Her name is Parker in this movie. Parker, yeah. Latina name Parker. Sure, totally. And she's not convinced by her father's death. And the sheriff's brother, whose name is Elvis, sells military weapons somehow that are stolen out of this cave. But you don't find out until later in the movie. It's pretty obvious that that's what's happening. And she calls up the guy from the beginning of the movie, her partner named Spider, who's played by Tone Bell, who I recognize from that fucking shitty-ass Netflix show that was on, like, back in 2017, that got canceled after one season. Anyways, he calls her up to investigate, and then he calls her back to tell her that Elvis stole the weapons and that he's selling them to terrorists. So then you find out that the reason he's selling these weapons is to fund his dad's campaign. Get the fuck out of here. And that there's this terrorist that's in on it named Ghost. And then she gets caught up in them finding out that she knows about the scheme. And then they try to burn down her dad's bar. When that happens, she then gets kidnapped by the Swan family. And then you find out that they're in danger because they've been running behind on the weapons, I guess. How do you run out of weapons? I don't understand that. So they torture her in jail, but then she gets free eventually. And she fucks them up. So eventually her partner shows up, Spider, and he's concerned. He tries to find out where she is, and then he gets captured too. And she then rescues him, and she's like, sup, damsel in distress. That shit was so creepy. She then tells him that she's gonna blow up the cave using the weapons that she sees, and she does. And the whole movie, she's with this machete, like the movie she was in from 10 years ago, Machete. Remember that movie? That movie's way better. Just go watch that than this shitty-ass movie. She kills a couple gang members, including Elvis. She kills the shit out of him. He's like, fucking bitch. The whole movie, they bring up that she's Latina, even though Jessica Alba, I think she's only half Latina, so I don't know why they make this big emphasis that, oh my god, she's Latina. I'm like, Jessica Alba doesn't know any Spanish to save her life. She knows less Spanish than J-Lo. So why are we putting this big-ass emphasis on, oh, she's Latina? Like, her whole personality is Latina, I guess. They even bring up the word Latinx or Latinx. I don't know what the fuck, how do you pronounce it? And the dad, the senator, he's like, Oh, is that how you pronounce it? Latinx or Latinx? I need my voters. And they call her racial slurs too. They call her Spick. And I was like, Spick? Is J-Lo supposed to be Puerto Rican? I mean, is Jessica Alba supposed to be Puerto Rican? I'm pretty sure this movie was written for J-Lo. Because I don't understand calling her Spick. I mean, Spick, that's like something you call a Puerto Rican. Not Jessica Alba. Supposed to be Mexican, I assume, because this movie set, I guess, I don't know, California, Arizona, wherever the fuck desert is in this in USA. That's where this movie's set. So why the fuck is Jessica Alba? I keep calling her J-Lo. They have the same letters. There's a line in the movie, the senator, he brings up how, oh, you would have had beautiful mixed babies with my son. I'm like, mixed? I'm like, Jessica Alba's already mixed. That baby would have been like 10% Mexican. So I just don't understand what the fuck is going on in this movie. Why Jessica Alba, out of all people, I'm pretty sure this had to be written for J-Lo, this movie. Because this movie definitely plays out like something J-Lo would be in, especially on Netflix. But yeah, Parker fights her way out of danger with this fucking machete. Somehow, this machete, she's like Blade. I don't know how. And then eventually she catches up to her ex-sheriff. They're at this military base that has all these shipping containers. And eventually Jesse, her ex, he killed himself with the grenade because he doesn't want to be exposed. Or he doesn't want to live with the fact that he's getting exposed. That's what I meant. And Parker tries to talk him out of it, and he just blows himself up. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. So then, the ending of the movie, we cut to this scene of Parker and Spider. They're driving off in the distance, like this gas station. And they're like, oh, change is in the air with this new ballot. Because apparently Parker was being considered to run for senator. And it just ends with them just driving off in the sunset. It looks like shit. And Spider tells her, oh, your dad actually had some files of your childhood. Boom. And the end. Pretty sure I skipped a lot of the movie. I don't know. But yeah, let me get into positives and negatives. Positives. Jessica Alba, she looks hot. That's about it. So let's get into negatives. Negatives. The whole movie, it's absolutely terrible. It looks terrible too. The acting's horrible. Everyone in this movie is terrible. I don't know how, even this, imagine if J-Lo was in this movie, she would make the movie better. Jessica Alba, I don't care how hot she is. That's not enough to carry this movie to be watchable. This movie is not even watchable. I definitely couldn't watch this movie again. Even the last few J-Lo movies, this movie, those movies look better. Those movies are absolutely terrible. Atlas, that shit was horrible. But this movie, oh my god, this movie, it makes those movies look like Christopher Nolan directed them. This shit is out of control. Every character, none of them were good. None of them could act either. The ex, so her ex is the other brother. That would have made more sense for her to be for them to be the ex, so not this fucking, I'm pretty sure it's the guy from Scott Pilgrim who's in the band. Yeah, I'm just like, this guy, you're telling me this guy pulled Jessica Alba? No fucking way. It doesn't make any sense at all. And also, all the racial subtext of this movie makes no sense at all, especially with Jessica Alba. She's only half Latina, because I remember years ago, I'm like, wait, Jessica Alba's Latina? I just thought she was tan, and she's apparently half Mexican. She's half Mexican, half Canadian. She didn't even speak any Spanish in this movie at all. They call her all these racial slurs, and then the mixed babies line, which made no sense at all. Because, I understand if the character, if it was a black woman instead, that would make sense, but not fucking Jessica Alba. I haven't even gotten into, I honestly thought the scene when they were in Syria, I thought it was AI generated. It looks so fucking fake. I was like, what the fuck is this? I honestly thought some of the action was AI generated too in Syria. I don't know what the fuck Netflix is on. All their movies that they produce themselves that aren't made by some auteur filmmaker, they always look the same. They always look terrible. I don't understand how. I guess they always use the same cameras to keep the budgets low, I guess. But yeah, honestly, this movie might be worse than the Netflix J-Lo movie from last year, The Mother, that I did on this podcast a few weeks ago. Go check it out. But yeah, what would I rate this movie? I honestly might rate it a 1 or a 1.5 out of 10. Not even Jessica Alba can save this movie. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for listening. Go rate this podcast 5 stars. Go leave a like and comment what you think the worst movie of the year is. Thanks for listening. Bye.